Okay, Mr. Receiver, we're good to go.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kapoor. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here today. My name is Michael Dowry, and I have the pleasure of serving as receiver for the city of Chester. Happy New Year to everyone. We'll start off with introductions. One new face and some familiars here. On behalf of the governor's office and the Department of Community and Economic Development, I'd like to welcome Deputy Director Andrew Sheaf. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
On behalf of Delaware County Council, I'd like to welcome Ms. Kelly Diaz. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And newly elected, new to the party, but certainly not a stranger to the work, new Mayor Stefan Roots. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to join you finally.
Long time coming. Thank you to everyone for taking your time out. And as always, we are joined by my Chief of Staff on this engagement, Mr. Vijay Kapoor, and Executive Assistant on loan, I'll say, from DCED, Mr. Cody Dill. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
So here we are, 2024, gathered for the Municipal Financial Recovery Advisory Committee meeting. And we'll treat this as a kickoff meeting, an organizational meeting for 2024. Mr. Dill was gracious enough to send out the advertisement. Advertising our meeting dates will continue on the second and fourth Tuesdays at 1 p.m., the second and fourth Tuesday of every month at 1 p.m. We will continue to meet in a virtual format. We found this to be the easiest way to convene this group from Harrisburg to the county to the city. And also provide for recording so that they can be viewed at a later time. These recordings are available on the receivership website, chesterreceivership.com, and also available on YouTube and Facebook.
And Mr. Receiver, if I could just stop, I just want to double check that we're live on Facebook. Mr. Deal, could you just check real quick to make sure we're good to go? Okay, thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Just wanted to make sure.
Well, thank you for that. The challenge will continue to be receiving public comment, but we do have several vehicles set up for that. And we are also available for any one-on-one or small group gatherings if anyone would like to meet with us to discuss anything in more detail. Public comment can be submitted via email, info@chesterreceivership.com, via our website. There's a portal there, and/or give us a call or stop by the office. Mayor Roots and his team have been gracious enough to give us some office space there in City Hall. So thank you for that.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I look forward to continuing to build on our working relationship. So made our way around with the basics. We're going to get into today's agenda. Mr. Dill, are there any public comments?
So we have not received any public comments since our last meeting. There were some of the standard emails we get regarding the repeal of Act 12, but they're kind of automated emails that we get bunches of them at a time. It's not really something to address for this group, but no individualized public comments were received from the community. So we'd like to encourage the public to keep reaching out to us at info@chesterreceivership.com. That's our email address, or through our website, or also the Facebook as well. Again, the email is info@chesterreceivership.com.
Thank you, Mr. Dill. Mr. Kapoor, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Would you mind sharing with the committee a little bit about what Act 12 is and the effort to repeal?
Mr. Receiver, I will sort of confess I'm not an expert in this area. My understanding is it has to do with monetization. It has to do with the way that it has to do with, let me just say, the monetization process. And I believe there's been some discussion about amending it in certain ways. I don't feel confident enough to speak with this group about it at this time. Happy to do so at a later date. But it has to do with monetization of assets of municipalities in Pennsylvania.
Thank you for that. And what I'll add for this group or for the general public, while the outreach is certainly appreciated, and if nothing else, it's an opportunity to engage. Legislative acts are just that, acts of legislators. So we will pass the information on. but there's nothing that our office can do about those acts. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll continue to monitor the situation. Moving from public comment, we do have one presentation here today, but before we get into the presentation, Mr. Kapoor, do you have any general updates on the status of the recovery plan?
Sure, Mr. Receiver. Just a couple of items for the group. And again, this is as we're sort of taking this as a this committee's taking this as kind of an organizational meeting. These hit a couple of different areas. On the bankruptcy end, yesterday, January 8th was the bar date. So all claims against the city need to have been submitted by yesterday. Our claims administrator, Donald Ricano, is in the process of compiling the claims that were made. And we should internally get a report in the next couple of days. So that's one matter. Looking kind of on the city end, the city did pass its 2024 budget at the end of last year. You can actually find that budget on the receiver's website. I can actually share my screen really quick and show you where that is. Let me just do that if the panel could indulge me. This is the receivership website, www.chesterreceivership.com. If you go to documents here at the top, we have a fair amount of information that we like to try our best to keep current on. Scroll all the way down past financial reports to city financials, and you'll see the 2024 city budget. This budget was compiled and put together by city staff. Receiver's office gave some high-level guidance, but by and large, this was the work of city staff. And again, this year you'll notice a different format. There's much more of a narrative to it. And additional information is in that budget. So that is one thing to look at. Just other items here, again, for people to take a look at, just so they know. We also have check registers. These are the checks that the city writes on a monthly basis, and you can see where the city is spending its money here, at least with respect to checks. This is from the end of last year, from December. We have them on a monthly basis. And again, you can kind of go through here at your leisure and see what's on here. So this is worth, again, kind of worth looking at. The final area that I just want to mention here, because I know often we have retirees or employees who watch. We also have, and we will post, Cody, I'll get these to you, the end of year pension statements from the pension funds, where they ended up. Happy to say that every one of the pension funds saw an increase in its assets from the end of 2022 to 2023. The police pension fund has about $12.2 million in it. That's up by about $5 million from the previous year. The fire pension fund has around $3.9 million in it, which is up about a little over $3 million from the prior year. And the non-uniformed, the officers and employees pension plan has around $3.9 million, which is about $1.2 million higher than where they were at the end of 2022. We still are dealing with pension issues, no question about that, but those are positive. That's positive, and we certainly want to share that information when we have the opportunity to do so. We appreciate the hard work of city staff. We appreciate the good work, especially of the finance department, of making sure that the MMO payments are made, and the MMO payments that were scheduled to be made in 2023 were all made. So we're pleased with that. Still a long way to go. But again, we want to share, we share difficult information when we have to. We also want to share positive information when we have the opportunity. So, Mr. Receiver and members of the committee, that is my short update. I'm happy to answer any questions or happy to cede the floor.
Well, just two quick comments from me. Just again, want to kudos to the city, CFO Lathrop and Chief of Staff Leitner for continuing to lead the effort there. And one with the MMO payments, not to be taken lightly, 21 through 23, that's 3 years in a row of making the full contribution, the required contribution to the retirement plans after, I believe, 8 years, 7 or 8 years of not being able to do that. So certainly a significant accomplishment there. And on the budget development, one of the main reasons main reasons why we're able to make those payments is adhering to the budget. Certainly a process that we take very serious, and excited or happy or encouraged that this year the city was able to take the lead of that production back from PFM and now producing the document in-house. This is going to create even better internal controls throughout the year. Currently, the finance department is going through the process of building the budget into the financial software system, Edmunds. And then this will be the guiding light, if you will, throughout the year, controlling the spending. Look forward to receiving the first quarterly report for budget versus actuals, and then kind of going through that mid-year adjustment process along with mayor and council to see where we are, progress year to date, and pivot accordingly. So really excited for where that's going, and the leadership that CFO Lathrop is displaying there is greatly appreciated. Anyone else have any comments before we continue on?
I'm really excited just being here on the ground, watching the work happen on a daily basis, and have been, for the past couple of years. We've progressed a long way in 2 years, 2 years plus. We've done some great hires here in the city over the last 18 months. And these hires are not only talented in and of themselves, they're drawing out some great talent from staff that we had existing that, for the most part, just needed to be better managed. So it's exciting to keep a core team of people with institutional knowledge within the city, working for city government and getting the results that are going to get us across the finish line.
Three more. Thank you for that, Mayor. I will continue on with two brief updates from my end. As Mr. Kapoor just alluded to, we have to report the bad with the good. And after a bit of good news, I'll share another bit of good news, but it's highlighting just how far the city still has to go. As we finish the year and start a new year, it's quite some time before the tax receipts are come in for the real estate taxes, which fund a major portion of the operation, of course. And the city still needs to seek short-term bridge loans each year as they close out 1 year and until those receipts come in to fund the next budgeted year. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Sheaf and behalf of the Commonwealth for once again providing a $5 million loan to the city to help bridge that gap. I think this is now the third year that the state has provided this loan, interest-free. Mind you, that certainly helps the city along the way. The city does repay the loan each year. In the latter half of the year, I think repayments start in July or August, and then the loan is paid in full by the year end, just in time to request yet another loan. So this one has been in the works for some time, and we continue to work on it each fall so that we have it try to have it by the end of the year, but first week of January this time around. So I am in possession of that loan, and we'll be delivering it to the city tomorrow. So thank you for that, Mr. Sheaf, and please extend our gratitude to the rest of the DCED staff. Second piece is just continuing to encourage folks to apply and pass the word, spread the word about the number of positions that the city is currently recruiting for. Please continue to visit the city's website to check on the latest job postings. There are a number of key positions as well as entry-level positions that the city continues to recruit for, as always in need of great talent. So thank you for your support that way and continuing to spread the word. Does anyone have any questions of me before we get into today's presentation? All right, well, hearing none, we'll yield the floor to Mayor Roots to talk about working with me, working with the receiver. Mayor Roots.
Yeah, working with the receiver, that's a question that comes up often or has come up often from people. Are you going to work with the receiver? And you know, I'm going to take this opportunity, this being my first meeting with MFRAC, to kind of explain what that means to me, working with the receiver. It started out with a couple notes. I'm just going to take a couple seconds just to explain that. And the more I thought about it, the longer it became. When my notes get long, I have to write them down and read them. So please tolerate me for the next maybe 5 or so minutes as I read, only because I don't want to miss anything. You know how what my position is on this subject. So, you know, one of the most important responsibilities I have as a chief executive officer of the city of Chester is to serve on this committee, the MFRAC committee, the Municipal Financial Recovery Advisory Committee. And I understand that this body is where the receiver is required to consult with prior to exercising his powers under the law. Since Chester entered receivership in June of 2020, these MFRAC meetings, to me, have been must-see TV. And many others feel the same way. And these are people who just geek out on city government's recommendations and feedback to the receiver on the implementation of his recovery plan. Up to now, it always hasn't gone smoothly between the receiver and the city. The city hasn't offered up many recommendations to the receiver, and the feedback to his recovery plan has mostly been in the form of resistance and an aggressive lack of cooperation. That's unfortunate. In other words, the receiver and the city is not seen eye to eye, and as a result of the opposing viewpoints, receivership is taking far longer than originally planned. Often I'm asked, will I work with the receiver? Here I'm just going to take a few moments to help define what working with the receiver means to me. First of all, working with the receiver does not mean, and I repeat, it does not mean rolling over to the receiver. The best and fastest way for the receiver to accomplish the job he's assigned to do for the city is for the city to exercise some flexibility in how we govern in order for his team to work effectively on our behalf. This has not happened in the past, and the receiver has taken the city to court on 2 occasions to seek permission to exercise the powers granted to him. What's often lost in all this drama is that when the receiver's time is done here in Chester, the mayor and council have the authority to govern the city the way we decide to run the city. Receivership is meant to be short-term. It's a temporary process. Working with the receiver means there may need to be some compromises to how the city operates to accommodate the work the receiver needs to do. Once complete, the city gets back to normal operation. To me, it's really that simple. From what I'm reading, what I'm learning, what I'm understanding is that Chester is the first municipality in Pennsylvania to challenge receivership so strongly. It's almost as if we don't realize how bad our financial situation is, or how grateful we should be that the state is willing to invest millions of dollars in the form of the receiver and his seemingly unlimited amount of resources to keep us from complete financial disaster. So let's roll back and understand the history a little bit. The city went into receivership when it was determined that there was only 6 months of pension money left in the police pension fund. We just heard from Mr. Vijay Kapoor that that's been turned around, that all 3 of the pension funds have increased. And that's due, in fact, to the work the receiver has done since he's been here. When the receiver arrived, he wasn't pointing fingers of blame, but he immediately went to correct the issues that were facing us. A lot has been discovered in the process, and the Chester government administrators and business practices were ultimately labeled as dysfunctional by the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. That's not a good look, y'all. Some would contend that declaring bankruptcy in Chester was long overdue. Ultimately, the receiver found it necessary to file for bankruptcy on behalf of the city of Chester, a city so strapped for money that it couldn't afford to put itself into bankruptcy if it had to. If you didn't know, bankruptcy is a very, very, very expensive process. We're in a very serious situation here in the city of Chester. To my knowledge, we're only the second city in the history of Pennsylvania to face this predicament, and one of only a handful in the history of the United States of America. Yet, it's not the end of the world. Bankruptcy is both a problem and an opportunity. It's a problem because it's a product of years of dysfunction and mismanagement, which is now time to finally move on from. And it's an opportunity because we have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to clear our bills and set the city up to move forward in a sustainable way. We cannot continue to be in denial about where we are or how we got here. Yet, we have to be bold, we have to be smart, we have to be deliberate, and we can't be afraid to face the challenges of bankruptcy head on and fight our way out of it. For a history buff like myself, I think of Winston Churchill, who said about World War II, "If you're going through hell, keep going." Chester's bankruptcy didn't happen overnight, and it won't be solved overnight, as we can see. Folks need to realize that the receivers team didn't just start yesterday. In fact, they are now 3 years into this project. I contend that half of that time, particularly the first half, they were in discovery mode, identifying areas of Chester city government that contributed most to our financial woes. And the second half, they were crafting a solution to put the city on solid financial footing. They're here to help us. But until now, city government has been working against them in a form of being uncooperative and appealing court decisions that have gone in favor of the receiver. I want to repeat myself by saying we need to be flexible, and we need to do what needs to be done to not delay the work of receivership and bankruptcy solutioning. The clock is ticking loudly. These guys will not be here forever. If we run out of money before we get out of bankruptcy, the city will face a point of no return. Nobody wants that. We have no time to waste. It is my sincere hope that our new city council members come up to speed quickly on what the receiver sees as the right way to right the ship. That is what the receiver has been sent here by the state to do, and the clock is ticking for Chester to take advantage of their help. One way or another, 2024 is the year the deal is going to go down. Going through bankruptcy is not easy. It's not fun. In fact, it's embarrassing, but it's necessary. Successfully navigating our way out of bankruptcy is going to test our city leaders like nothing else ever has. I can say it simple as this. I am not given the luxury of having a honeymoon period. I'm sitting here in MFRAC talking about what needs to be done. This is not an easy job. But as I said earlier, we might not always agree with the receiver, but we must keep the process moving forward and find compromise where we can. The alternative to bankruptcy is something nobody wants. I'm gonna end it now. In conclusion, I have every expectation that City Council will join me in rolling up our sleeves and working alongside the receiver and his team. We'll get through this together, and Chester will be better off for it. In the words of poet Amanda Gorman, history has its eyes on us. In the words of Mayor Stefan Roots, so does the entire nation. Cities near and far are looking at how we manage this crisis so they can avoid their own. There's no doubt that this group assembled here, Mayor, and by association, my council members, along with the receivers team, will save Chester from financial ruin. As mayor, I swore an oath to uphold the city charter on January 1st, 2024. And that is what I intend to do. As leaders, we need to rise to meet the moment because the future of our city is at stake. But ultimately, this is our city, and the decisions we make will also and always be in the best interest of the city, its people, and our future. January 1st, 2024 marks a new day in Chester's relationship with the receiver. A new mayor and council were voted in by the people of Chester with the mandate to lead this city out of the mess we're in. It's my intention to work as constructively with the receivers team as possible so that Chester can emerge from bankruptcy in a financially strong and sustainable position. I don't know if this is the point where I say the end, but those are my comments. Those are the things that I've written down. Those are the things that I wanted to share with you. I'm a little embarrassed that I had to read it, but I did not want to miss a thing. This is an important time in the city of Chester. This is time to turn it around. This is a team that's going to do it. Myself, my council, and my receivership team. Let's get this thing done, y'all. Let's go.
Certainly would have been an appropriate time to do a mic drop, but
I can't drop my computer, man. We're in bankruptcy. I don't want you to buy me a new one.
thanks for that. Mayor, I have to get used to that. I keep wanting to say Councilman Roots, so apologies if I do slip up. But Mayor Roots, thank you. Your words are certainly appreciated, and the opportunity to work together. I just share with the rest of the committee. Mayor Roots and I actually go back to his days before being on council. I do vividly remember the day of him calling me and letting me know he intended to run for council. I'll never forget riding in Baltimore. My wife was driving, and good thing she was driving. I wasn't. I was very, very concerned, but I'm so happy to see where we are now and how things are evolving. I would have never thought we'd be sitting in a setting here at this moment. So thank you, Mayor, again for throwing your hat in the ring and being the good steward and dedicated servant that you are.
Thank you so much.
Would anyone else on the committee like to share or ask any questions?
Mr. Receiver.
Please.
Yeah, no, I would just like to take the opportunity to welcome Mayor Reeds to the group. Truly appreciate those comments, the constructive comments and feedback. You're right, this is a process. And we've got a lot of work to do, but it's really, personally speaking, it's an honor to be a part of this group, to get ready to do the work, and really looking forward to 2024.
Great.
Excited as well. Thank you, Mr. Sheev. And I'll just close then with just referencing back again to the bar date. That's a significant milestone in the bankruptcy process. So just it's slow. Federal government moves pretty slow, or just in general, it's a slow process. But a lot is happening, and as you can demonstrate it by us passing this bar date, we are hitting those major milestones and continuing to advance forward. We do fully anticipate submitting a plan of adjustment to the federal courts this June. As Mayor Roots alluded to, first year or so was doing our assessments. Next year or so was developing a plan. And now here we are, hopefully submitting this plan in the coming months and working feverishly to get it adopted and approved by the court. So more to come, but I just want to celebrate the milestones when we can. So thank you to all for your participation. I look forward to reconvening in 2 weeks at 1 p.m. Thank you all. Have a good day.
All right.
Thanks.